The world they are hiding from us, you have not seen it before. Deep underground bases that can hide submarines, ships, and even whole airplanes. 439 giant underground bases all over the planet. To the unintellected, it will seem incredible, yet it is about another purely secret world deep under the earth, prepared with provisions for very few in proportion with the whole, and mostly pre chosen for the extremely difficult days, maybe for some readers only. A man claims online that he is a former member of the Illuminati, as well as his revelations about the secret brotherhood has sparked the interest of conspiracy theorists worldwide. The anonymous, supposedly ex-Illuminati claims that he was a member of the organization for 47 years and that he was a high-ranking executive. The world they're hiding from us, their doors don't remind us anything of the ones we know. They close with absolute isolation and security, resistant to a nuclear war. The entrance of any American underground base, inside them there are sorted huge supplies of every kind and type for those very difficult days. And he explains that he wants to reveal everything about the Illuminati because he simply can't bear it to keep it a secret anymore. His post was published in the blog anonymousmags.com. He's narrated that he was 19 years old. He had already managed to acquire financial comfort. Through acquaintances from his friends, he had made successful investments in stocks and the stock market, while he'd been involved in behind-the-scenes deals and managed to make a lot of money. In 1964, he went in to study at Harvard, where alongside his studies, he continued to enrich and gain great influence in university life by participating in clubs and organizations. And he said, one night, as I was returning to my student rooms shortly after midnight, I was approached by two men wearing black suits. My first thought was that they intended to question me about my business activities because some of them were not entirely legal. They asked me to follow them, which I did, to the basement of a two-story building just 2 streets away from my student room. It looked absolutely incredible, but these bases are so big they can fit warships. And there they sat me down at a table, asked me if I wanted to make a deal with them. They didn't tell me what deal they wanted to make. They just asked me if I wanted to make a deal with them. I half agreed, and then the biggest man I had ever seen in my life appeared before me. I was a member of the Illuminati 47 years, recruited then when I was 19 years old, he said. He then claims that the information he intends to reveal is very revealing and dangerous. He says, I'm one of the 7 people in the history of the Illuminati who were initiated into the ritual of departure, quote unquote. I learned all I needed to know when things were revealed to me in June 2010. For years I had been completely formal with Illuminati beliefs, motivations, and actions, but lately all this has been too much for me to bear and I had to cancel my sacred contract, he said. My goal is to reveal everything about the Illuminati. How do you become a member? What is the purpose of the organization? What does the organization do, and what are their future plans? He says Barack Obama is not a member of the Illuminati. It's something much, much worse. The new space flights, apparently he means space tourism. It's not as much for fun as it seems. It's a tool of the Illuminati. Denver, Colorado is a hell of a place. Aliens are a little different than we assume, he said. Underground bases and bunkers. The first issue I would like to discuss is about underground shelters. There are currently 57 underground bases and bunkers in the United States, he claims, which are in operation for various purposes all over the planet. There are about 439 shelters. These kind of signs, not just warning, but rather threatening, always existed. Now, all these bases and shelters are controlled, operated by the Illuminati. The largest underground shelter is located in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The shelter can accommodate up to 5,000 people for a period of up to 10 years. I have personally visited it, and it is much bigger than anyone can imagine. This shelter is for the end times and the last days. 5,000 of the world's richest, smartest, and most powerful people will have a safe haven in this underground base in the event of global nuclear war, natural disaster, or any other global disaster. Don't get confused. Many other shelters have the capacity to house large numbers of people for a long period of time, but no other shelter is as large and well equipped as this one. In the event of World War III, all world leaders will find refuge there. The richest people on the planet will also take refuge there. People like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the oil magnates. However, the oil tycoons will be, while in the bunker, done away with so that the New World Order can control the Middle East. I don't know the exact number, but out of the 439 shelters that exist around the planet, I could say that about 275 are built for long-term housing. It's been written and said for many years by American researchers and writers that these trains do not have classical wheels. We're talking about trains that are very high-speed underground trains, that they don't have classical wheels, but are exclusively magnetic. That is, literal contact is made with the rails, but they stand and run over the rails without touching. Now, he says here, I myself have stayed in such an underground shelter in China in the 1990s. It's very nice, very opulent, like staying in a 5-star hotel. Now, whether searches for articles and text are just wanting images, they can guess their research by adding European, the word basis in American, if you want to see what's in Europe. Now, for those who are even more curious, there are countless and incredibly revealing, even undescribable videos, some with the same title, some of which have been secretly taken from these facilities. The truth is that it's objectively unlikely that ordinary people, who wherever they live, can assume that what exactly is going on under their feet, but not for them, but for the very, very few. And all these have already been done for decades with outrageously large expenditures of billions, which the national parliaments probably have not caught the scent of. Always those who know are infinitesimal. And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Now, in the area that I live in Athens, Greece, in northern suburbs, someone did tell me that the politicians know of these underground shelters around Athens, for example, and some of them were in my area. I asked one of my neighbors who grew up in that area, if she knew of any of these. She says yes, and she took me to one. But it was on the side of a mountain, at the base of the mountain of Pendeli, and she said, you see that opening? That's the entrance of it. And they change the food every 6 months to keep the food fresh, she told me. Okay, it's got supplies of food in there, and they change it every 6 months. And she said, "You want to go?" I said, "No, I didn't want to go because you'd have to wear boots and jeans because we have poisonous snakes in Greece. The poisonous adders will just your nervous system will be put out when they bite you. So I didn't want to go across that field because definitely there would have been snakes there. But she showed me where it was, and she says, yes, that's one of the openings. And my brother has been in there. He told me about it. I had gone in, and they changed the food every 6 months, she said. Of course, normal people, normal citizens, residents of countries do not know of these things. Those that know are the ones that are in public service under politicians. And I was in a company of people that were such people, and that's how the discussion started. And one of my neighbors knew where one of these shelters were in northern suburbs of Athens, Greece. So they are around. And they're purposely not telling people because they want to save themselves and their families and not everybody else. This is really demonic, isn't it? Anyway, please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.